Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry. June is Pride Month, and today we have some guests from Pride Marianas Youth to share with us what is this month all about. I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Jennifer Morita. She's a volunteer co-founder for Pride Marianas Youth and its alliances, and Dr. Bobby Cruz, also a member of the organization. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you for having us. Happy Sunday.
So for those who may not be familiar with it, what is Pride Marianas Youth all about?
Yeah, thanks so much. So Jennifer here, and thanks for having us as we celebrate June as Pride Month. And hello, everyone. Pride Marianas Youth really started out last year when a group of kids wanted to partake and celebrate the Pride Month's events and activities. And while we started off with quite a few events that were going on, we really wanted to gear something aimed at the youth, and they wanted a parade. So what started out as something very impromptu that we did very last minute, we ended up having a youth pride walk, and we aimed for 50 participants, and we actually had 300 plus members, youth members, allies, family members come together. And our eyes were opened on some gaps and resources geared towards our youth. And so this past year, a lot of our volunteers have come together on ways we can create more inclusive and braver spaces for our kids, more alliance clubs in the school level and even at the college level. NMC Pride began this past year. So all of these groups have come together on ways to create more inclusive spaces.
What is this year's Pride Month message?
So hi everyone, this is Bobby Cruz. And so let me first begin by wishing you and your audience and the entire Marianas happy Pride. The message of Pride hasn't changed. It remains a celebration of self-affirmation, dignity, equality, visibility for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual people and their allies as a social group. It's about celebrating human rights and in particular advancing LGBTQIA plus rights as a movement. Pride is a global celebration where many collective voices stand together in solidarity to support and honor our LGBTQIA plus community. It's a global call to get involved and to raise awareness of important social issues, because we have so many members who are a part of the community right here in our Marianas. Some are out and some aren't, and we need to ensure that their existence matters. We need to create the space for them to fully participate in our society. And with that said, the support of each of the individuals who listen to your show is going to be critical in helping us to build more loving and accepting environments, especially for LGBTQIA youth. And so we're hoping that this will help us to perpetuate the message of Pride, standing in solidarity for our LGBTQIA plus community.
One of the things I love about this radio show is that it aims to provide a place where people can openly discuss, listen, and share their thoughts on social issues such as LGBTQ, and I learned today IA+. So I really want to thank you guys for coming out. Bobby, in the email you sent me, one of the words you used, and I think I heard you say it again, was part of this effort is to create a safe community. Why did you use that word in relation to this particular topic?
Yeah, so this is a very personal issue for me because I identify as a gay individual, and it's an important part of who I am. And I am also a member of this community and have been striving to create, to stake my claim and participate in a way that's going to effectuate change. As an aspiring leader, as someone who wants to be an advocate for marginalized groups, and as an educator, it's so important to me to create safe spaces where individuals don't have to hide who they are, and that we as a community understand how important tolerance is, and to provide the space and the type of conversations where people can come together and, despite our differences, share mutual respect for the fact that we have free will as human beings. And I think that if we can begin by having those conversations where we can get individuals who have different points of views to sit down and to look at our commonalities as human beings, we can advance the movement towards from tolerance to inclusion, and we are hoping to create more advocates. And so there's still a lot of work to be done, and so our efforts today, we are hoping to advance that together.
The word youth, of course, is part of your title, and I actually have a friend working in mental health here in the CNMI who shared with me that they counseled or they are counseling a lot of young people who are struggling because they are dealing with this issue in their own lives, and they, I believe, don't feel accepted or affirmed. What do you think is the cause for young people having this struggle, and how can we help them better?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that one.
Yeah.
Well, I want to introduce, in addition, that I myself am an ally, and I'm a proud mother of 5 very brave kiddos. One in particular, my very little young son who identifies as part of the LGBTQI plus community, and he loves for me to share that he identifies as transgender, and with his permission he wanted me to also share with the community that I was speaking to that he's very proud and wants other kids to know that they should be proud of who they are. He was born into a very accepting family, and so knowing some of the research behind some of the statistics that are aimed at our youth who don't come from accepting families, some of the statistics and challenges and struggles are pose them at higher risk for certain things. And when we have even just one person that that child or that youth can identify for or be themselves in front of, if it's an extended family member or a Nina or Nino, auntie or uncle, because they're not feeling safe of their identity or their orientation in their own family, it gives them a huge protective factor against these risks. So we ask for more allies, and this past year we've seen it even at the elementary level. They have a pride club of allies aimed to reduce bullying. We have teachers coming out putting safe space stickers. We have more people saying that I'm going to be that safe person for you, and that you can come to me and talk to me about some of the challenges and struggles that you're having, and you're not going to be judged, and that your identity is valid. And so that's why when we aim at our youth, we're looking at even our older members in the community to say, I'm here, you can talk to me, and so that's why it's so important that we all come together for our kids. Yeah.
And I think that's an important message that everybody can relate to. Everybody wants to be accepted the way that they are. They want to be loved the way that they are. And I think that's definitely a good way that we can get our kids off to a healthy start, is just to give them that love and affirmation with wherever they are in their journey as a human being. You guys do have a lot of activities planned for this month. Share with us what's on your calendar.
Yes, so our youth members and our allies came together trying to find ways to be creative in this new normal that's ever evolving, and ways that we can celebrate in this social distancing world at this time. And so our main event is Ride for Pride. That's coming up June 27th. It's a motorcade pride themed, and we're encouraging people to continue our social distancing practices, but decorate your car, and we'll ride the island and visit the villages, and show and celebrate our solidarity and of acceptance, and kind of our movement in terms of awareness that people can be proud of who they are, and celebrate our inclusive and braver spaces. Yeah, that's one. We have quite a few. We have this Humanities Half Hour. We also have a contest that the Humanities is putting out. Check out our social media platforms. We also have quite a few contests coming up that will be airing on our social media platforms. So please check out our Facebook, Pride Marianas Youth. We also have an Instagram. And if you're wanting to also learn more about some other events, feel free to email us at pmy670@gmail.com. But we have some TikTok dance contests aimed at our younger kids. That's what's going on. And our partners at PCF are going to be doing repainting of the Rainbow Crosswalk. We also participated in the worldwide virtual Pride video submission, so we'll be also airing that out on our social media platforms. Other partners like Stellar is doing a read out loud with Miss Marianas and using her platform. Just quite a few events that are not locked down just yet, and that will be sharing more as this coming days come ahead. Yeah.
Bobby, you had some particular thoughts on why Pride is so relevant in our island community.
Yeah. So, Pride is a time when the LGBTQIA plus communities and their allies come together to reflect on how far the world has come in creating more inclusive spaces, bringing down prejudice and injustice towards LGBTQIA plus individuals. And it's also a time to acknowledge how much more there's still to do. Pride marches began in 1969 after the Stonewall riots in New York, and now take place all over the world. It's been 50 years since, and the celebration continues. The celebration of Pride is about giving a voice to historically marginalized and disenfranchised groups, which include the LGBTQIA plus community. And it's really about pushing for equal rights, equal protections, and social inclusion, because we have members of the LGBTQIA plus here in our Marianas. They're our friends, our family members, our loved ones. And so we celebrate Pride as a sign of solidarity in support of their freedom to love who they choose to love, to express their authentic gender identity as they see fit, and to participate in our society without fear and judgment. I've been given a tremendous amount of privilege in that I feel very accepted in this community. And for whatever reason, I have wonderful friends from across the spectrum who identify as heterosexual, homosexual, queer, and I just feel so embraced by this community. And I just want more individuals from my community, the LGBTQIA plus community, to experience that freedom. I feel that I'm in a unique position, and I'd like that freedom to be offered to them as well. I want to let them know that they have advocates and allies, and that there are people who understand that their experience matters, that their existence matters. And I'm hoping that when they hear this today and celebrate Pride with us, that they will step out and be brave to embrace who they are. So I'm excited for Pride this month, and that's why this work is still so important. 50 years later, this work is still so important here in the CNMI, because we have those individuals right here.
Well, I want to thank you both for your time today and for sharing. Any final thoughts before we go?
I want to do a quick shout out to the Pride Marianas youth volunteers and our partners. Happy Pride Month. Again, like I said, to get more updates on our events, please like and share our Facebook page. We also have our photo frame, and we're seeing that go viral on Facebook, and we celebrate Pride. But just a shout out to the volunteers. They really come together to give voice, to share this brave energy and shine light and hope for our youth and our community at large. And I just want to thank them for getting so creative on things that we can do together to let our youth know that it's Pride. Happy Pride. So happy Pride, Marianas.
Yeah. And, just to end on a simple call to action, our call to action is simple, but it's really important. We would like all of our partners, agencies, businesses, and our entire island community to get involved and to help us celebrate June as Pride Month. That may include social media posts, creating policies that support our LGBTQIA plus inclusion, or other creative ideas that show pride. So we're hoping that everyone will do their part to increase awareness. It's really important so that we can, when you put your voice out there, when you're an advocate, it creates a mobilizing effort, and you're going to be helping us create braver, safer, and more inclusive spaces. So we challenge you all to not just be a champion of the cause this month, but also to be an advocate for Pride all year long.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We've been chatting with Dr. Jennifer Maratita and Dr. Bobby Cruz about Pride Month and Pride Marianas Youth. We'll be back with more after this break.
The COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact our daily lives, including our cultural institutions and individuals who contribute to the humanities. The Northern Marianas Humanities Council is pleased to announce a new grant program to respond to the needs of nonprofit organizations and individual participants in the humanities who need support through this difficult time. The COVID-19 Relief Grant provides up to $15,000 to eligible organizations and up to $10,000 to eligible individuals. Visit the Northern Marianas Humanities Council website at www.nmhcouncil.org/COVID-19 to learn more about this opportunity for relief. The Northern Marianas Humanities Council COVID-19 relief grants are made possible by funding from the U.S. Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or CARES Act, and the National Endowment for the Humanities.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half Hour. We're speaking again about Pride Month, and in this half of the show, we're starting off with Farah Younis. She's the program officer with the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. Farah, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So happy to be back.
So the council has a program in conjunction with this month called Pride Talks. What is that all about?
Okay. Well, Pride Talk started last year. It's an annual program that the council is doing to sort of create a safe space for the LGBTQ community to have activities and events or competitions.
And so I understand last year you had a filming of Boy Erased and then a discussion after that. What are you guys doing this year?
Yes, so last year at the Regal Cinemas, we had the screening of Boy Erased, and we had a doctor and people from the community share their stories, as well as a pastor, and it was a great event. For this year, since we can't be together and really celebrate and hear their voices, we decided to have instead a writing competition. And this is for all of the CNMI, so Rhoda, Tinian, and Saipan will have their own competitions. That way, each island will have their voice heard, and hopefully we'll have enough submissions to hear all their stories and their voices.
Is there any particular kind of story you're looking for, or is it kind of open to what they want to write about?
Yes, it's pretty much open to what they want to write about. I do not want to limit their imagination or their storytelling capabilities. I just sort of kind of want them to dig deep, find what's personal, what story do they want to tell about themselves or their experience of being in the LGBTQ plus community in the CNMI.
I think the important thing to share would be the deadline, and also where can people get more details, or can you give us a little more details about what might be required?
Yes, okay, so the deadline is June 26th, it's coming up, and the categories are essay and short story, and both essay and short story need to be at least 500 words minimum, and poetry can be in any style, free verse, sonnet, however you want to express yourself and tell your story.
Okay, and then if people would like more information, where can they get it?
They can contact the council, 235-4785, or they can email me directly, Farah@nmhcouncil.org.
Farah@nmhcouncil.org.
Yes.
Why did you feel it was important to provide this opportunity for young people to share their stories?
It's actually, the competition is open to all ages, so we want to hear from everyone.
Okay, all ages. Thanks.
There's no age restriction on this one, which is interesting because usually competitions do, but for this one, we really, the purpose is really to give the LGBTQ community in the CNMI another way to celebrate and move their fight for equality forward by sharing their stories and making the general public aware of their struggles and their thoughts.
All right. Any other thoughts?
Happy Pride CNMI. Please join the competition. The prizes are great. It's $500 for first place, $300 for second, $100 for third, and this is on each island, so everyone gets the opportunity.
Well, you should have said that up front. That's great.
Yes.
So if you'd like more information, you can contact the Humanities Council on that contest or check out their Facebook page. Thank you, Farah.
Thank you so much.
For the last part of our show, we're going to chat with Jonathan Cabrera. He is a longtime teacher with the CNMI Public School System. In fact, he is the 2012 Teacher of the Year for PSS, and he is now pursuing a Master's of Divinity at Bright Divinity School in Fort Worth, Texas, and he is seeking ordination to the priesthood in the Episcopal Church. Hi, Jonathan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for having me on here.
So what prompted you to want to share your story today? And I do apologize that it isn't a lot of time, but it is an important part of what we're talking about today. What made you want to share?
I think part of the importance of sharing my story is because it is Pride Month around the world, and LGBTQIA plus people are celebrating as best they can given the various levels of quarantine and lockdowns. And so, at least on my part, because I do identify as gay or queer, I'm happy to share my story with your listeners. And I just wanted to add that though I loved my time at the public school system and have fond memories of my time there, I did actually also work for a number of years at the Northern Marianas College.
Ah, yes. What made you decide to change your profession or your vocation, obviously being so successful in the field of education?
Part of it had to do with just my own personal journey in religion and in my faith. I spent many years looking for spaces, faith communities, if you will, that would affirm me completely. So it's one thing, I think, for communities of faith to say, God loves you and we love you and we welcome you. But I think for some faith communities, it's going a step further and a step that many communities will not yet take to say that we also affirm you, all of who you are. And so I'm speaking specifically now to the issue of sexual orientation. And so part of the reason I'm pursuing a Master of Divinity is because I want to be a part of a church that will affirm me completely. And I want to be ordained to ministry so that I can serve God's church in that way and serve God's people in that way. And in particular, I'm not sure exactly where my ministry journey will take me, but I know that one of my focuses will be on ministering to LGBTQIA plus people, those who are interested in the Christian faith, and if they want a place in God's church, then I want to be sure that they know that there can be a place for them in God's church. I think of my vocation, or in terms of living out my vocation, I focus on two truths. The first truth is God loves you. Truth one. There is nothing you can do to make God love you more, and nothing you can do to make God stop loving you. The second truth is because of God's love, we are empowered to love others. And so, and for me, loving others is more than just, or should be more than just lip service. And part of that, I think, is letting God's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual children know that God loves them, and that if they wish, they can be a part of God's church. And so I'm part of the Episcopal Church now. I grew up Roman Catholic. I do have some Assemblies of God in my background as well, because I attended Grace Christian Academy in Saipan for 12 years. I learned a great deal in both of those faith communities, and I've taken a great deal from both. I carry both of them into my life now. But the truth is that in both of those communities, I could not find affirming spaces for regarding sexual orientation. In any case, so that's why I made the switch. I think I will always be a teacher. And nowadays, given the way the job market is for ordained ministers, I will very likely go back to the classroom and be some sort of bivocational minister. And the ultimate goal is to return home to Saipan. And that's what I want to do. But we'll see what the Holy Spirit leads me to.
You mentioned about your search to find a place where you felt affirmed. Could you tell us how other believers who may not necessarily believe in the same things you do can still demonstrate their love and the love of God to you, or even if they're not Christians or anything like that? But what is it you would like to see the community give more to LGBTQ to help them find that affirmation?
That's an excellent question, and I love how expansive the question is, because it takes us beyond religious spaces, for which I'm glad. I think one thing that the community can do, people can do, is learn from us, learn about us, allow us to tell our stories. And part of that, in the telling of those stories, I think many people will have wonderful things to say about the various people in their lives, their families, their chosen families, their friends who have affirmed them and showed them in manifold ways how important LGBTQIA+ people are to them. But also those stories, I'm sure, will be filled with different versions of trauma, different versions of rejection. So what do we do with those stories? I think we need to hear them. And I think depending on the context, we need to say, I'm sorry for the kinds of attitudes that people have had. So I know that in our community back home, there's rampant homophobia. I mean, that's just a truth, no matter where you go. But so what do we do with the homophobia, transphobia, biphobia that we see back home? And I know there are folks in the public school system, folks at Northern Marianas College who are taking very proactive steps to ensure that we are educating our youth, educating our communities, our families about gender identity, sexual orientation, and the like. Make spaces for us. And I think we're already out there doing different things and involved in every segment of our community. And I think that if we start realizing how important LGBTQIA+ people are, because they're people and they're humans, and at the same time also realize that we're fabulous people, but we're also imperfect people, right? So we're not looking for perfection here. We just want a chance to share our stories and to contribute in meaningful ways, in ways big and small, to our communities, because that's where we live. We don't want to leave the islands, and tragically, historically, that's what's happened in many places. Folks leave, LGBTQIA+ people leave for bigger cities because there's more openness, more diversity in those spaces. So what does it mean to be queer in an island context, surrounded by the ocean? How do we all live together and learn to love one another and be compassionate towards one another?
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Kat.
We've been chatting today with several guests about Pride Month. And if you'd like to share your thoughts on today's show, please contact us at 670 Humanities. And if you'd like to hear more of the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Northern Marianas Humanities Council. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.